AYV television, channel 33 on radio FM 101.7 on Facebook, AYV News, and via our mobile app. You can also follow us, as I mentioned, on our Facebook page. And of course, Weekend Review takes a look at our major stories during the week, and sometimes we bring in journalists and civil society activists to critically analyze them. But in today's edition, in the studio, I have with me Moses Mambu, who is a political and as well as a social analyst. Good morning, Moses. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and good morning, viewers.
Viewers, we await the arrival of Melvin Tijan Mansare, who is also a journalist and a political analyst. But first off, from our stories, earlier on Wednesday, President Julius Maada received a courtesy call from the joint ECOWAS, AU, and UNOWAS assessment mission to Sierra Leone. The team is in the country to evaluate the progress and implementation of the agreement for national unity. President Bio expressed gratitude to the mission for their role as a moral guarantors to the agreement. Reporter Salifu Cheno Camara was in attendance, and he put this report together.
The delegation from ECOWAS, the African Union, AU, and the United Nations Office for West Africa and the Sahel, UNOWAS, commended President Bio and the government for their commitment to dialogue and reconciliation, emphasizing that such efforts are crucial for maintaining peace and stability in Sierra Leone. They highlighted the importance of the agreement for national unity, especially the positive steps taken so far, and they encouraged continued cooperation in good faith, underscoring the role of regional support in bolstering national unity. The joint ECOWAS-AU-UNOWAS mission, co-led by His Excellency Leonardo Santos Simao and former Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, Her Excellency Fatoumata Jallow Tambajan, praised the Sierra Leonean leadership for their proactive approach in addressing political tensions and fostering an inclusive political environment. The representatives highlighted the necessity of ongoing dialogue and mutual respect among political entities to prevent a relapse into conflict and ensure the welfare of all citizens. President Dr. Julius Maada expressed gratitude for the support from ECOWAS, AU, and UNOWAS, thanking them for their role as moral guarantors of the agreement. The team arrived in Sierra Leone on June 18, 2024, focusing on evaluating the implementation and progress of the agreement for national unity signed in October last year between the government of Sierra Leone and the All People's Congress APC party. This agreement marked a pivotal moment in the country's political landscape, aiming to foster unity and stability. The joint mission also engaged with the main opposition APC, which recently suspended its participation in the Tripartite committee. Following the discussions, the APC issued a press release announcing its decision to resume participation in the committee, highlighting a renewed commitment to the national unity process. This decision is seen as a positive step towards enhancing political dialogue and cooperation in Sierra Leone, reinforcing the objectives of the agreement for national unity, which the government is highly committed to. Salifu Chorna Kamara, AYV News.
Thanks to our reporter Salifu Chena Kamara for putting that report. Next up, Dr. Julius Maada has pointed out that democracy is a process that develops over time. He noted that the establishment of the Tripartite Committee was intentional to contribute to the evaluation of democracy in Sierra Leone by reforming the ECSL and addressing the challenges and concerns of all political parties. President Bio made these remarks during the presentation of a joint statement by the government of Sierra Leone and the main opposition All People's Congress Party to update the president on the committee's final report. Salifu Cheno Kama again as the details.
The Tripartite Committee update, presented jointly by the government of Sierra Leone and the APC, was read by the APC leader and the chief minister. The statement outlined the committee's focus on electoral reforms, national unity, and inclusive democracy, with both parties condemning any attempt to incite violence. President Bio emphasized that disputes in a democratic state should be resolved through dialogue, not violence. This is reflecting a commitment to peace and national unity beyond political, regional, and tribal boundaries.
Democracy is a process and it develops over time. Every generation of leaders will make their own contribution, and we are making our own contribution towards the evolution of democracy in Sierra Leone. Since we've been mutually grumbling about this institution, the ECSR, and its processes, for me, my legacy is, why don't we deal with this institution? Why don't we now reform this institution? There are 17 issues remaining, and I know that you can do it, and we count on our negotiators to go back and encourage the committee to work on these.
With the extension of the time by President Bio for the full Tripartite Committee report, APC leader and chief negotiator Dr. Samura Matthew Wilson Kamara endorsed the committee's progress. He highlighted significant strides in fostering a new era of hope for Sierra Leone, stressing that political stability is essential for economic stability. Dr. Kamara emphasized that without political stability, economic progress and stability is difficult to achieve.
I want to reiterate and reaffirm the commitment of the All People's Congress Party to this initiative, to ensure that in the fullness of time, the true spirit of the agreement for nationality, national unity is achieved. It's not an agreement for the APC, it's not an agreement for the SLPP or for any other individual. It's an agreement for salvaging the soul of Sierra Leone and making everybody understand that we are one family, irrespective of where you come from. We are all one family. And this is the family spirit which this committee is trying to achieve.
Both parties expressed sincere thanks and appreciation to the development partners, experts, and moral guarantors for their continued support of the agreement for national unity. The chief negotiator of the government, Chief Minister Dr. David Monina Senge, revealed the total number of issues identified by the committee.
We have about 86 issues that have been identified, embedded on the 3 sub-topics. I think as Dr. Kamara committed on behalf of the government, we certainly will continue to work on the implementation, the full implementation of the agreement for national unity. It becomes evidently clear that political stability is essential for any form of development, and we're all on the same page.
The ECOWAS AU-UNOWAS mission lead, former Vice President of the Gambia, Her Excellency Fatoumata Jallow Tambajang, cautioned the 2 main political parties and all citizens that maintaining a peaceful Sierra Leone is a collective obligation. She emphasized the need for collaborative efforts to transform the minds of all Sierra Leoneans through the peace agreement.
The messaging of Sierra Leoneans from now henceforth through this agreement is going to be the message of peace, commitment to peace, and say no to violence, say no to people who are against peace. And I pray to God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to continue to bless Sierra Leone. You have left your political differences. Now what you need is more education, awareness creation, from the base to top.
Citizens are urged to maintain peace and support the crucial electoral reforms to shape the future of the country's democracy. Salifu Charna Kamara, AYV News.
Thanks again to Salifu Cheno Kamara, our colleague, for putting those reports together. Viewers, as I mentioned earlier in the studio with me, I have Moses Mambu, who is a social and political analyst. We still await the arrival of Melvin Tijan Mansare. Mambu, you've heard from the different speakers. You've seen the video ranging from the ECOWAS, the AU, the ECOWAS, courtesy call on President Julius Maada. Again, the tripartite recommendations from the government and that of the main opposition, APC. It's part of the TLR of the Bintumani, where President Bio agreed to constitute a tripartite committee from the government side, the international community, and that of the APC to look at electoral reforms for future elections in the country. From the report, from the committee's report, 169 recommendations were made, whereas 86 issues were as well raised by the committee. First off, let's start with the courtesy call of the AU, ECOWAS, and UNOWAS team. At a time, the country is still trying to emulate international best practices. We did that about the APC moving away from the tripartite, and then come back and say, okay, we want for like the part because now country first. This the courtesy call from the ECOWAS, the AU, and that of the UNOWAS. How do you think the nation finding will impact governance and political stability in Sierra Leone?
I think, good morning again, viewers. Sierra Leone and Sierra Leoneans, we must be proud of ourselves as a country, because for the past 3 decades now, Sierra Leone as a country have been used as case study to test the viability of these international organizations many times. Mind you, Sierra Leone is one of the countries where the United Nations had success when it comes to peacekeeping. You understand? And also post-war reconstruction. They succeeded in Sierra Leone to keep the peace and also supported Sierra Leone in post-war reconstruction. So Sierra Leone have been that beacon for international examples positively. You understand, where these international organizations have tested, you understand, their resolved and the reasons why they were created in the first place. So we also saw during our war, the whole ECOMOG played through ECOWAS resolution, I think it was resolution 72. By then, you understand, that triggered the intervention of ECOMOG into Sierra Leone to bring back the democratically elected government that was overthrown. That's the former President Tijan Kaba's government. We saw the success ECOWAS made in Sierra Leone. We had some itch in 2015, you know, when the former Vice President Sansumana was sacked. He went to ECOWAS court, and ECOWAS court passed a ruling, and the then government responded negatively to ECOWAS. But then I think that relationship has been repaired, because we saw at the end of the June 24, 2023 elections, we saw again the true meaning of why some of these international institutions were set up in the first place. The issue of Commonwealth. We saw, you understand, the way they came in to mediate, to facilitate the peace process. We also saw the whole ECOWAS, you understand, and NOAS have been playing since the end of the elections to make sure they mediate, facilitated a peace dialogue between the opposition, APC, and that of the government of Sierra Leone. But again, we must not also forget the role that our newborn baby, that's the Commission for Peace and National Cohesion, created in making sure they facilitate the coming in of these international players into facilitating a dialogue process between the APC and the government of Sierra Leone. So as a country...
Mambo, in all of this, there seems to be a trust issues between the government and that of the main opposition, APC. Say, for instance, at a time that the committee, for example, the committee wanted to present its final recommendation, and then the APC party move out, and then again, then come back, so okay, now because of probably country force who want for see Albert would join again. Of course, you mentioned so many times the international communities, they've been coming into the country to see Albert, they can facilitate peace dialogue either between either the ruling APC at the time or SLPP. So there seems to be a trust issues. So now, what step do you think can be taken to build trust between the government and the main opposition?
The trust issue came in as a result of the All People's Congress political parties, because we have followed this issue closely with keen interest, you understand, in seeing where our political leaders can come together and foster peace and national cohesion for the development of our country, Sierra Leone. Now, the disagreement between the government of Sierra Leone, we have followed closely, as I said. The governments have been explicitly clear with regards to the objectives and the reason behind the setting up of the Tripartite Committee. Mind you, this Tripartite Committee we're talking about started with President Bio when he went to Parliament to open the 6th Parliament. He pronounced an electoral systems and processes review committee. The only difference was he announced the Vice President of Sierra Leone as the chair, whereas as a result of the Bintumani agreement, they modified it a little bit, say let's have neutral people. You understand? That's the international community and both parties having representations. It was never intended that they are going to audit the result of the June 2023 election. That was not the spirit of setting up of the Tripartite Committee. Sierra Leone is a country of laws. If you go to the National Electoral Act, it clearly tells you the processes and procedures in which election results are challenged. If you go to Section 42 of our Constitution of Sierra Leone 1991, it tells you clearly what you are supposed to do in the event you have issues with the outcome of a presidential elections. Very clearly, you have 7 days to file a petition, gather all your evidences, and file a petition in the Supreme Court of the land. The Supreme Court of the land is the only, I repeat, the Supreme Court of the land, Sierra Leone Supreme Court, is the only, not even subsidiary, but it's the only body that have the legitimate power to overturn the outcome of a presidential elections. No other body, not even the appeal court or high court. I can't even mention a committee, but no other body have that power. However, we have seen a consistent pattern as a country from the main opposition party, which is the APC party, communicating clearly in clear terms to their supporters the objectives and the spirit behind the setting up of the Tripartite Committee. But what we have seen, anytime questions have been posed to the main opposition APC party with regards to the reasons why the Tripartite Committee is here in the first place, they will tell you, do not preempt. You know what that means? They have succeeded in raising the hopes of their supporters.
But from the APC angle, according to CDR Tunis, another stalwart of the APC, when short question is being posed at them, saying that from the theory or the essence of the establishment of this tripartite committee with regards to the hope you made mention about from their supporters or sympathizers, they denied all allegations or they denied that from their own side, from their own point of view, nothing like that. They never talk or tell their supporters. Short statements are coming from people that are not part of the APC party itself.
No, that is not true. I know we are going to, very soon, we are going to look at Dr. Samoa's statement he made on the 19th. After the engagement with the international community. When we get to that statement, you will see I'm coming.
Can the statement be aligned to what you are saying?
Of course. When we get to that statement, you will see the collaboration between what I'm saying, that the APC have not been very clear in terms of communicating to their supporters with regards to the objectives, the goal and the objectives of the setting up of the Tripartite Committee. In such what we have seen a pattern, especially Well, let me take off APC a little bit.
No,
No, I'm coming. Let me just make a point. Dr. Samora Kamara was the flag bearer for the All People's Congress Party for the June 24 multi-tier election. Now, according to their 2022 constitution, Samora Kamara is no more the leader of APC. Because 6 months after the election. Now,
Mambu,
let me don't lose my thought.
I know that will be a discussion for APC.
I know.
We are not directly attacking
No, we are not.
APC.
But
so I want us to stick to the issues. I did ask a question that what step do you think can be taken to build trust between the government and
that's what I'm saying. In building trust is there has to be a clear communication between the government and the opposition in terms of both parties understanding clearly the goals and objectives of setting up of the Tripartite Committee. That have not been clear. We have seen the two chairmen, Dr. Kelfala Mara and Dr. Gaima, in several press conferences. We have seen clear disagreement. We have seen where Dr. Gaima, journalists will pose questions to Dr. Gaima regarding the outcome of the auditing the June 23 presidential election result. You will hear Dr. Gaima will tell you clearly that is not our terms of reference. Our committee is not here to audit the outcome of the presidential result or ask ECSL to produce technical and classified informations. You understand? Our committee, we are reviewing the processes.
But in all of this, I know no, you still have a right. But in all of this, there seems to be a miscommunication from the government angle because there's a communication or information ministry. Don't you think that the information ministry should have taken the responsibility to inform, to well inform the public? Despite you made mention that the APC on the other side, they were giving hopes to their supporters. If the government should have...
My brother, please, let me hold you there. The AYV and all other media attend government weekly press conferences, which the Ministry of Information and Civic Education organize every Tuesday. In that, the minister, or both the deputy and the minister have been explicitly... In fact, the Tripartite Committee is where they start the press conference every week, and the Tripartite Committee is where they end the meeting every week. The minister have been very clear with the truth to Sierra Leoneans, clearly, explicitly. In fact, he used to say it in our local language, Creole, for say, okay, people, let me tell you now, as a minister, I'm here to tell you the truth. And the truth of the matter is, the Tripartite Committee, no, they come for organized rerun. The Tripartite Committee, no, they are for unseat President Bio and install Dr. Samora Kamara. This is fact. The Tripartite Committee is looking at processes, procedures, mechanisms used to conduct the 2023 multi-tier elections, the processes, for example, data entry, data transportation. You understand the way results are counted, the way results are being approved from police station level to district level, to regional level, to national level. Those processes and procedures. Again, they went further, the terms of reference went further, saying that they will also look into other processes of other past elections. There's nothing that they are going to audit the June 23 election. Okay,
so
now, let me.
I wanted us to move away a bit. I would want to say you kind of attacking the APC. No,
I'm not.
Yeah, but from the question from the angle of a political and social analyst, I think it will be better if we stick to.
No, that's what I'm saying. You ask a question. The question you ask is, how can government and the APC build trust? Yeah, trust. Now, in building trust cannot come without honesty. We have to be honest in building trust.
So SLPP more honest to APC than we are APC honest to SLPP?
Of course, in terms of communicating, both of them have different ideas. Yeah, but the problem of building trust...
It should have been the responsibility of the government side, because they have a very large audience, they have the platform.
No, do you know what they mean by tripartite? When they say tripartite, and also let me bring this to you.
Yeah, but the government has the large audience.
I have evidences where I have seen in several podiums government clearly communicating the objectives and the goal behind the setting up of the Tripartite Committee. What Sierra Leoneans have not seen is a clear communication. Do you know what you mean by don't preempt? When somebody tells you, they ask you a direct question.
But I don't want to be like a mouthpiece or want to be the devil's advocate. I've been to the APC office on the so many press conference been called by the Tripartite committee. And I want to like hear from what they say like then they give I hope. I don't know who said Dr. Kefamara they say this committee not for preempt anything.
That's it.
Wait, so we not come for kind of like pull either president or for come with 3.
No.
Yeah, I've been there.
No.
I've been there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Listen now, listen. Yeah, when they use the word, when somebody use the word, if you ask me a direct question, to say, for example, is the June 23 election going to be audited and the outcome is going to be a rerun or removing of President Bio, then I tell you, do not preempt. Anything is possible. That in itself is misleading. When exactly within your conscience, your soul, and your mind, you know the truth.
I've never seen from the not only like the Ministry of Information, like the committee from the government side. And one day you or like see, I might be wrong, like then get a press conference. Whereas when the APC they always get for updates them people for tell them what like the committee they about for take their mind off from what the way they mention. So
no, I have seen it. But the government, listen, the government is a whole structure where their mouthpiece is the Ministry of Information. I have said in several podiums, for example, the committee have held 2 press conferences together, jointly, because any activity of the committee should be consensus. Okay, there should be consensus. Okay. I have seen where the committee held press conferences. In that press conference, both Dr. Gaima and Dr. Kelfala Mara disagreed in the eyes of the public.
Okay, let me only there. You mentioned the statement of Dr. Samuel Kamara. My producer is calling on my attention to take another story, the story that has to do with Dr. Samuel's statements, as you made mention about. So Dr. Samuel Wilson Kamara, the presidential candidate of All People's Congress Party, during the 2023 multi-tier elections, has urged Sierra Leoneans not to use the report of the Tripartite Committee as an excuse for violence, ethnic hatred, or destabilizing Sierra Leone and its economy. Dr. Kamara noted that peace, tolerance, and stability must remain a priority to all and sundry. Let's take some major highlights from his statement in his address to the nation.
Let me reiterate that leadership at all times means taking bold and difficult decisions, even where they affect your ego and personality. That is what should be acknowledged and done in the current circumstances. As the major political parties in the country, we have voluntarily agreed to examine the outcomes of the 2023 elections. By so doing, we have made the difficult decision to place the national interest above partisan politics, to prioritize governance and economic well-being of our people, to provide our local councils across the country inclusive environment necessary for them to deliver for the people of this country. A Southern African proverb says that when the elephants fight, only the grass gets trampled. It is time in our beloved country, therefore, for the elephants to stop fighting and allow the grass to grow. I would like to firmly implore and encourage any voices wishing to use the final report of the Tripartite Committee as an excuse for violence, ethnic hatred, political vilification, and destabilizing our nation and the economy to desist. This is unacceptable. Too much blood has already been shed, and too much treasure has also been lost in the history of our country. We cannot, as a nation, afford to lose any more innocent lives and hard-earned treasure. Peace, tolerance, and mutual respect must remain an overriding priority. Finally, the report of the Tripartite Committee, when it comes out and presented to the nation, is far from the end of this political transformation process. It is not even the end of the agreement for national unity. Much more remains to be accomplished. Many more opportunities exist to make additional gains, and many more victories for democracy, national unity, and inclusive development will be forthcoming. I pledge to continue working within this process with the firm support of our development partners and you all to ensure that Sierra Leone has a strong, democratic, and effective national institutions we also dearly desire.
That was a statement there from the presidential candidate of the main opposition, APC, during the 2023 election. Mambu, you've heard from what Dr. Samoa was saying. He as well was calling on Sierra Leoneans to deviate from violence, ethnic hatred, among other things. So again, he mentioned that the report from the Tripartite committee is not the end of an agreement for national unity. It seems confusing because from what people will be thinking, of course, like I mentioned earlier on, the essence for the establishment of this committee, aside from President Bio's statement at Parliament, it's part of the tier from the Bintumani, which essence is for national unity. But for Dr. Samoa saying that the recommendation of the report is not the end of agreements for national unity. Generally, first off, let's start with the timeliness of his address to the nation.
Dr. Samoa Kamara's address to Sierra Leoneans. For those Sierra Leoneans who want Sierra Leone to move, his address was very explicit. He accepted that the elections are over, technically, because he said what has been done can never be undone. Yeah. So it's clear. You understand, to many Sierra Leoneans, he communicated technically clearly that he has accepted his fate, that the June 23, 2024 elections is over. He tried to lower the expectations of Sierra Leoneans that the report will be coming out, but don't use it to castigate me, that's Samoa Kamara, or the government use it to castigate APC, stalwart, or their supporters in a technical perspective. So that's what, and he also used his speech to heal Sierra Leoneans who went through a lot during the elections to vote for Dr. Samoa. He used it to heal. He also used it to call the attention of government to foster peace and democratic inclusivity across the country. That's one side. From the side of the APC supporters, his statement is confusing. His statement was misleading. His statement was too academic and technical.
But you don't to APC.
No, I know, I'm coming.
So, no, I will able to justify it.
Yeah, no, because we follow. I am a grassroots social commentator. I follow the response of APC supporters with regards to the statement of Dr. Samoa. They are confused. Okay. They have different perspectives. You know why? Because Dr. Samoa made unnecessary, he made the speech unnecessarily cumbersome. He made the speech unnecessarily unconsumable for the layman to consume. 19 minutes. Where the people are only interested in two things. Their supporters were only interested in two things from what we have been following on social media. And you yourself knows that. Dr. Samoa to come clearly to let the supporters know his position with regarding the presidential election result at this point. That is, the expectation of the people is, the Tripartite committee is going to bring electoral justice. How? They are going to recommend a rerun because Mohamed Kone refused to pull the disaggregated data. 2, they are going to recommend that President Bio lost the election on first ballot to Dr. Samoa Kamara. So the supporters of APC needed Dr. Samoa Kamara to communicate to them directly in the simplest form they can understand. But saying that what has been done can never be undone. Me and you understand that in that speech, that is a speech Dr. Samoa Kamara gave to accept that he has putting down his arms, pursuing the fight of gaining the leadership of Sierra Leone. And that's where he got it wrong. And that's the difference between
but him saying what has been done can never be undone. He mentioned that from his statement, he did agree that the elections are over. And from according to you, he mentioned that that he has already agreed that elections are over. Are over, and there is no way to indirectly like in only for to say. He honored it again. He already mentioned.
That indirectly is what the supporters of. You see, both two political parties have different sets of supporters. And for us as political commentators and researchers, we know the mindset of both supporters. When you look at APC supporters, these are grassroots supporters. You understand? Very basic grassroots supporters. When you want them to understand, you communicate to them. And Dr. Samoa Kamara and his team that wrote that speech clearly understand the audience they were communicating to. But because he's still playing political game with the minds of Sierra Leoneans, positioning himself ahead of 2028 among his colleagues. That's why I pity Dr. Richard Conte. I pity Dr. Kelfala Mara and Petito. You understand? Because they are going to be used at the end of this tripartite. Those three presidential hopeful for the APC ticket are going to be used as political pawn, as political scapegoat, that they did not do enough to get Kone to release the disaggregated data, which will in turn give them victim. So it's going to be a problem. Now, I want to draw your attention to what happened in 2007 between Solomon Ekuma-Beyowa, late, may his soul rest in peace, and the statesman decision he took at the end of the election, even when at the point where the presidential elections results were being announced, he was in the same room with late President Kaba. President Kaba congratulated him, telling him that you have won this election. You have won this election. And subsequently, Christian Atop announced the election in favor of Samora Kamara, in favor of Dr. Anes Maikoroba. What did he do? He summed up the courage as a statesman, because no matter what we would have done at that time, this country will relegate into chaos. He went straight outside, took out his phone. You have heard testimonies from him. Took out his phone and called Anes Kuruma and congratulated him, even though he had a lot of questions. There were a lot of malpractices, police stations being cancelled. He could have challenged it, but he looked at the country. He looked at the peace. He participated in the Leone agreement and called President Kuruma, former President Kuruma, and said, man, congratulations. He went back and talked to his supporters that, listen, this game is over. This game is over. Everybody go home. And that is what this country we are expecting from Dr. Samora Kamara. The speech on the 19th, that was a speech he could have ended this whole drama. The whole Quran drum could have ended on the 19th. But he refused. Why? Because he's still scared for him not to be castigated by his supporters based on statements he has made that he will continue to defend their vote.
So, again, Mambo, generally, the speech of Dr. Samoa Kamara, does it calling for peace, or agreeing to the fact that the election was won by President Bureau, and also allaying the fears, or like one for, like, take away that mindset of APC supporter them, that thought, like when they get what you mentioned, say like the committee established one, and for can see how best they count one and try for do that in them.
Yes, so that one day, if we don't do them, for example, in just 5 minutes. Yeah, but 5 minutes in the speech could have done that. You know what's happening in social media right now among the APC supporters? They're having mixed feelings. Everybody is hanging on a section or a paragraph of that 19-minute speach. That's what is going on. But for us, we understand.
How do you interpret? Because how do you interpret his speech from all what he was saying? Like he was calling on the supporters of APC to avoid ethnic hatred, violence. It was directly calling on them not to use the committee's report as ethnic.
But he did not directly communicate to them what they wanted to hear. I tell you, listen.
I be the expert to make communicate, but already
there are unanswered questions that in the minds of APC supporters. I'm telling you this. There are unanswered questions that Samora Kamara have not directly, whether in Creole, in Minde, or in Limba, that he has not answered. As at now,
there has been no complaint, or there has been a rumor of complaint, like people in vex from the APC say that.
Listen, my brother, listen. Let us.
I go attest to that. Say like,
no, I can't. Which I said also, I am part of over 200 social media platforms on YouTube, on Facebook, on WhatsApp groups. I can tell you the minds of the APC supporters, the mixed feelings.
But anybody can personate. How you go prove or attest the one that like what they complain APC supporters?
My brother.
Anybody can impersonate.
My brother, they are. We have two sets of Sierra Leoneans today, politically. APC supporters and SLPP supporters. The only way Salon can move is when we look at these two sets of people and speak truth to power. And this truth is, I can tell you with no iota of doubt, that the APC supporters have mixed feelings. We are following discussions in social media.
From his
The APC supporters have mixed feelings.
So from his statement, there are no key points in his address that stood out.
That stood out clearly. What stood out clearly? What stood out clearly? You know, the drafters of his statement, I did some amount of linguistics.